So I will open the Williamson County Budget Committee meeting for April 6, 2021. I'll call the roll after the statement. This meeting is being held pursuant to Executive Order 78 from the Governor of the State of Tennessee. As such, all members of the committee must be able to hear me and each other. If you cannot hear the other committee members, please notify us immediately. Without objection, the Budget Committee hereby determines that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. This meeting is available to the public on Public Access TV and is streaming live on YouTube. Jamie, let's call the roll up there, please, through open meeting. And we show everyone present with the Budget Committee. All right, we don't have any minutes for today, and I didn't get any transfers. I do want to note before we start going through the budget items from our meeting yesterday, we were going to talk about the nonprofits, and Diane sent us a schedule today. So I want to make sure if everyone got that. If they didn't, would you let us know so Diane can resend that? Hearing none, I'll assume everybody's got it. All right, ready to go? Here we go. First item up is item 53100 from the Circuit Court Administration of Justice for a total of $1,897,180. Let me repeat that: $1,897,595. Do I have a motion for approval? Commissioner Herbert, do I have a second?
You know, I don't have a way of being a second on my screen.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm not ignoring anybody. I'm happy to take that weight off of Barb or Judy, but I don't have a second button.
Okay. As Commissioner Sturgeon as the second, is that different? Before we go on, Commissioner Sturgeon and Commissioner Morton, was that different from yesterday? Because I know Commissioner Sturgeon yesterday. Okay.
So there is an update for open meetings that will need to be uploaded if you haven't done that. And then if you need some help with it, Jamie is happy to help you with that, but not right now.
Not right now. All right. So you have here the Circuit Court. Does anyone have any questions, or do we want to have an explanation? What's the pleasure of the committee? I'm not hearing anything.
This is Herbert.
Yes, go ahead.
It's pretty self-explanatory. It hasn't changed except for the raise.
Right. So any other questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Debbie Barrett is on the call if you need her.
I think we're fine. I don't think any of the Budget Committee members have questions. It's pretty self-explanatory. That's good. So seeing no questions, are we ready to vote? So all in favor of 53100, this budget for $1,897,595. Push your yes button if you're in favor, your no button if you're opposed. Record the vote, Jamie. And that passes unanimously. Next one up is item 53300, the General Sessions Court for $1,077,550. Do I have a motion for approval? Mr. Herbert, do I have a second?
Commissioner Sturgeon, second.
Thank you, Commissioner Sturgeon. Very good. Thank you. All right. Looks pretty much the same as last year. So do we have any questions for the General Sessions Court budget? Okay. If we have no questions, and if you don't want to do the presentation, then we can go ahead and vote on this one. And it looks like we're already voting. Thank you. So all those in favor of General Sessions budget, please press your yes button if you're in favor, your no button if you're opposed.
Paul, I don't think I heard you say the total amount. Did I miss that?
$1,077,550.
Thank you.
The totals are also reflected on the screen above your display right under which budget you are reviewing, if you see that.
Yeah, I just thought legally he had to say the amount.
Oh, okay. Come on, Mr. Chairman.
I'm a little too fast. I'll slow down. All right. Record the vote, please, Jamie. And that passes unanimously. Next one up is Chancery Court. That is line item 53400 for $605,339. Do I have a motion for approval? Mr.
Commissioner
Herbert,
Sturgeon,
Thank you,
second.
Commissioner Sturgeon, for the second. All right. We have a little bit more here, but I think that's in longevity, overtime pay. Any questions on the Chancery Court budget?
Ms. Beeler is on the call as well.
Okay, thank you. No questions?
Ms.
Are we
I-
ready to
Baylor, I'm
have a
assuming both of
question.
those numbers are Paulette related.
What was that,
I was-
Commissioner Morton?
Paulette Maxwell, longtime employee. I'm assuming that was the decline in longevity pay and also the need for overtime. I also know I've been filing entirely too much in her court, so.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Commissioner. Are we ready to vote?
Could I ask a
If you're in
question?
favor- Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, at the bottom of page 1, I understand, I'm probably just not understanding how it's presented, but it says it's going up 64.5%, but it actually looks like it's going from 26,479 to 18,833, 83. Am I missing something? I know I
That is the
am.
line- That's the line item. So, Ms. Miller, can you answer that line item? That's for the maintenance and repair in the office.
Right.
The maintenance, or can you all hear me?
Yes.
The maintenance and repair went up because our software support increased. We've been covering that with our data fees and moving things around for the last couple of years to cover the increase in our software support. But we just don't have enough data fees to do that. So I believe, I don't have that in front of me as far as the same document, and I should have. It's on a different computer in a different room. But any increase in that line item or any increase overall in that budget would be to cover the software maintenance contracts that we have to cover, which have been in place and have increased. We've just been trying to cover it with other things, but we just reached the point there weren't any more data fees.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Sturgeon, is that?
Yep, that answers my question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We seen this is hardware and software, by the way. All right, so Chancery Court budget 53400 in the amount of 605,339. Are we ready to vote? If so, push your yes button if you're in favor, your no button if you're opposed. Everyone's voted. Record the vote, please. And that passes unanimously. Thank you. Next one up is 53500 Juvenile Court for a total of $685,242. We'll have a motion for approval.
Go.
Commissioner Herbert, and second.
Commissioner Sturgeon, second.
Thank you. All right, this item, have any questions? I'm sure we have people on to discuss this if we do. As a matter of fact, I see them. Anyone have any questions? All right, seeing none, ready to vote. If you're in favor of this item for the Juvenile Court, please press your yes button. If you're opposed, your no button. And record, please. And this passed unanimously. Thank you. Next one up is the Judicial Commissioners. This is 53700 in the amount of $474,668. Do I have a motion for approval? Commissioner Herbert, do I have a second, please?
Commissioner Sturgeon, second.
All right. Anyone have any questions on this line item?
Mr. Chairman, just as
Yes,
a matter of information, the Law Enforcement Committee did not have this budget to review when they met, but Judges Andre and Taylor are on the call if there are any questions.
Okay, thank you. So Budget Committee members, anyone have any questions on this budget? $474,668. If not, are you ready to vote? If so, press your yes button if you're in favor, your no button if you oppose. Record the vote, please. Passes unanimously. I want to thank everyone for coming on, judges and clerks and everyone today. This is very helpful. All right, the next one up is the 53,900 other admin administration of justice for a total of $357,215. Do I have a motion for approval? Commissioner Herbert, do I have a second, please?
Commissioner Sturgeon, second.
Thank you. Budget members, does anyone have any questions on this one? Looks like it's just compensation. No questions? Ready to vote? If you're in favor of other administrative justice of $357,215, please press your yes button. If you're opposed, your no button. Record the vote, please. And that passes. And I believe that's all we have on the budget agenda. We did discuss yesterday that we were going to talk about the guidelines for the nonprofits. And so the information we have in your budget book on April 19th, if you had a chance to go through that, that has the different agencies and what they're requesting and some backup about what they're doing. And then we have the list that was sent today that shows the appropriation for the current fiscal year and what the agencies are requesting. And then yesterday, Jamie sent the new request from the Davis House. So where do we want to start the discussion? I think some folks had some questions about how this works, and so we can start that discussion at any point. Commissioner Herbert.
Okay, I'm just going to offer my opinion. You know, the Davis House is a wonderful place. They do great services. If anybody doesn't know about them, I'm sure Chaz does. I don't know if Barbara does or not, but they are a great organization. And I would like to see them get some money. I don't know about 18,000 though, but I would like to see them get something.
Okay. I'll weigh in on the way we had this discussion a few years ago. We put these requirements in, and so the guidelines we put in kind of follow my philosophy is the nonprofit that's making a request, providing a service to the citizens of Williamson County that otherwise the county would have to provide. And that runs a gamut of things. You could say the senior citizens, some of these, we provide some funds for a volunteer fire department because we don't have to put a full-fledged fire department in an area. We provide funds for the library, so we don't have to put a county branch in Spring Hill and Brentwood. And in my history, sometimes we would pay for recreational leagues so that the county or city would not have to pay staff to run recreational leagues for the children. So from what I know of the Davis House, and I've been a supporter of them in the past, they do provide services. But I will throw out, and Nina or Diane or the mayor can weigh in on this, we've tried to keep this budget, pretty much the same and adjusting within it so that we don't increase the total. Now, we do have, if my calculation is correct, $8,709 that has not been requested from this year that was requested in the past budget. So there's some money that might be available, or we could approve this at their request and send that on, or we could deny, saying we're not going to add any more nonprofits. That's kind of the way I see those options. I'd love to hear anybody else's comments if they understand it a different way.
Paul, I
Yes.
apologize. I don't have a request to speak button, so I have to just butt in.
That's
But it probably would be helpful if somebody could give an overview of exactly what the Davis House is. I'm pretty sure I've been there. There was a fundraiser a couple of years ago, but I think it'd be good if somebody who is more intimate with the Davis House could just give an overview of what they do and how they help people or children.
Does anyone on the committee have more information than I have from the printout? Or is there anyone? Go ahead, Commissioner Herbert.
Located.
I have a little bit. I mean, they
Okay.
interview children about sexual abuse. I don't know, and I assume they refer to the court and to the police about it, but it's children that are interviewed if they have been sexually abused or stating they have been abused. It's more like an evaluation form,
Okay,
my knowledge.
thank you. I
It's
think
just,
someone else is going to speak.
Yeah, they do serve 4 counties. So,
Don't they actually house children in between like court events, and like some of the children can't be with their parents and they stay there? Is that what I'm thinking of?
I mean, if they might stay there, it might be a very short time, but not that I know of.
No, they don't stay there. They just conduct the forensic interviews and do counseling for sexually abused children and make referrals. They offer a whole gamut of services, but children do not stay there.
Okay, so I'm actually thinking of someplace else where children who are in the juvenile system who need a place to stay are able to temporarily stay there for weeks or days or.
That's
And
my
I
friend's
think
house. My
yeah,
friend's
my
house is
friend's
placed there
house.
by the state.
Okay, that's what I was thinking of.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
if I may, on the nonprofit request for county funds, the information that was provided by the executive director states that all Davis House services are provided at no cost to clients who are largely victims of child sexual and physical abuse, their families, or community members receiving training to identify and diminish cases of abuse. However, it costs Davis House $1,500 per new client to operate. Our request of $18,000 would cover 12 new child clients. Between 2018 and 2020, it cost Davis House $961,350 to serve 663 new child clients from Williamson County with no financial support provided from Williamson County. They do serve clients throughout the 21st Judicial District. Approximately 42% of new child clients from 2018 to 2020 were Williamson County.
Thank you. If you look on their revenues, most of their, the biggest proportion of their funding comes from government grants, followed by the individual gifts and the events that some of us had attended. I don't want to get into the merits of that one item, but the discussion a few years ago was if you add one, because there's so many agencies out there that do good work, then you open the door to adding more. So keep that in mind. When we open for one, it opens for more. Now, that has nothing to do with this request because I'm familiar with them and as far as I know, they do a great job. But as we vote through there on the funds, keep that in mind. And we're not voting today. This is just an informational session. So we've got time before our 5:30 meeting to ask questions. And if you need more information from the staff or other agencies, we can get them to the call on the 19th.
That would be good. As long as I've been a commissioner, I've never seen our charitable budget go up for anything, not once. I don't know how long it's been. Do you know, Paul? You've got a longer history than I do. How long has it been?
I don't know the exact number of years, but that was intentional, that the numbers would stay the same. When we talked about this 2016, I believe, Commissioner Herbert may have more information on. We had this discussion, had a committee set up or a task force to review the nonprofit donations.
Yeah.
I was on that committee. Mr. Herbert, I was on that committee. And I don't think that we rarely ever added anybody new. And talking about that you came up with 8,000. My only concern is when we're talking numbers right now is I don't know what happened to Fairview, the reason they wouldn't have requested money. And I would hate to take them out without finding out what's going on with them. You know.
I think that's a good point, Commissioner Herbert. And the only change that I recall is that we had one of these organizations that uses horses for therapy, and we
Right.
split their donation between, and I don't have the name in front of me, but we split the dollar amount between two agencies. And we did that,
Right.
I think, right before or right after your task force met.
Yeah,
So
that's correct.
discussion, was your discussion in that task force, refresh me if you can remember, were we going to try to keep the dollar amount flat or adjust for inflation or try to reduce the number of agencies? What do you recall?
It was to not put, at that time, there were some commissioners that did not believe in donating to nonprofits, the county. So we ended up coming into agreement to keep it the same amount.
Okay, that's my recollection too. All right. Any other questions or comments as we go through? Remember, we're not voting tonight. We're just gathering information. Is there anything you want the staff to be looking for or to ensure that some of these agencies are on hand on the 19th?
You know
If I
what?
could add,
I've always felt like they needed to appear when they asked for money, but I don't know, you know?
No, I agree, especially with the Zoom calls. It makes it easier.
Well, and also, unless you're knowing some of these organizations, which I know quite a few of them, making sure they're still providing the services that they originally were, and they're continuing on with the same type of services.
Right. Did I hear someone else had a question or comment?
this is Commissioner Little. I
Thank
was
you.
going to say that when we have had these discussions in the past, it has always been in terms of we're going to keep the budget the same, but do we want to split this money different ways rather than add to the budget? And that's when Take the Reins ended up, we added them and we took the money away from another one. And we used to do it kind of in like kind too, I believe. And I was thinking we did the same thing with one of the senior citizens. We added them in one time, but I don't remember for certain. But in the past, we have kept the dollar amount the same and then tried to decide, all right, if we have to do this, we took it from somewhere else, rob Peter to pay Paul, so to speak.
Paul's here. Do we have any contact from the mayor's office, Diane, that we could reach out to Fairview just to make sure? Now, they missed the deadline. We have to be honest with that. You missed the deadline. But to Commissioner Herbert's point, we won't come back next year. They said, oh, we remembered, and then we're over budget because we approved some new agencies. So just curious if we can find out.
I think that Nina had reached out to Fairview, and I think they actually have dissolved.
Okay. Well,
I will check on that before it comes before you all later for you all to vote on, but I think that's correct.
okay. So Commissioner Herbert, that's the, if they have dissolved and these others gone to zero, that's where I came up with the $8,700 that we could reappropriate amongst the existing agencies. We don't have to appropriate it all, or we could add a new agency. So we got a lot of options for everyone to think about. And do we need to continue? Is there other questions coming up or anyone on the call that would like to add anything, other commissioners? Okay.
I do have a question.
Okay.
I saw where the transportation program for, I can't think of the name they call that,
Human resources.
Mid-Cumberland, yeah, did request do you know why?
Yes, ma'am. They received a tremendous amount of federal grant money this year, and so they chose not to ask the county for additional funding.
But they could come back another year and ask for it, correct?
They understood that by taking their self out, that they are limiting their resources for future, but they felt like they would be fine.
Okay, thank you. That helps a lot knowing those things.
Right. Okay. I mean, we have time. Is there any other discussion on this point to get us?
Commissioner Webb, if I may, Commissioner
Yes.
Morton.
We lost you, Chad.
Sorry about that. With
Okay.
regard to Fairview's senior citizens dissolving, is that? I just want to be sure that that's a permanent dissolution. That's not maybe just because of COVID that they weren't able to meet, and maybe just this year sort of fell by the wayside. I can't imagine that community has gone away, but but I just don't know enough about that. So I just want to be sure about that.
I think we can ask the office to contact whoever they have on record as the contact person. Or we may contact the Fairview Commissioners, Mr. Jones or Mr. Jones, and see if they know anything.
I do know that Nina reached out to someone, Commissioner Morton, but I will let her speak to that when she returns and before you all have the senior citizens on your agenda to review. We'll get you a good answer.
And I'll go ahead, Commissioner Morton, I'll reach out to Commissioners, both Jones, and ask them for any updates on the Fairview Senior Citizens, see what's going on. They may have some insight as well.
I'm just glad the Hillsborough group's still there because they put on a fine Christmas lunch.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm glad for all of them. I appreciate all these senior groups.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am, sir.
One of the things you need to know about Fairview, and feel free to reach out to the two commissioners. When we remodeled through Parks and Rec, we brought some of those services in from the senior citizens inside that facility over there. As all of you know, because we're aging every day, so many of our senior citizens participation by their groups is aging out. And so, for an example, the Enrichment Center here at the old BGA campus, which is growing through Parks and Rec, only because the Parks and Rec has the programs oversight and provides the program. And that's what we're doing over at Fairview too. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll find out. But I think for the most part, the senior citizens has now incorporated themselves into so many of the programs that our Parks and Rec have offered, such as Fairview or even at Hillsborough and some of the other areas. As you know, it's very difficult for volunteer groups, particularly as we get older, to offer so many of the services that we have for our seniors. They're needed. But we tried to roll those through your all's vote and help over the last several years into so many of our Parks and Rec programs.
Thank you, Mayor. That does bring a memory up. I believe that we heard that from Parks and Recs folk, just exactly what you said. But it won't hurt to do a little investigation just to make sure, because I think Commissioner Herbert has a good point there. Okay, any other items on this particular thing? We've got the time, but I don't hear any other comments or questions. Okay, so just a reminder, we have a joint meeting with the Education Committee at 5:30, so an hour and a half from now. And then after that, our next meeting is going to be on April 12th at 3:30. So keep that on your calendar. You've got the calendar that was sent out with your budget books. Mayor, did you have any comments today before we entertain a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, I really don't. I'm very appreciative of the ladies here in the office under Diane's directions and setting up the budget books the way they're set up. Every year we try to develop ways that are more streamlining so we don't have to take as much of your time. And of course, it always makes it easier when we are asking our department heads, elected and appointed officials to live within the money that they've got, except for those areas that you have to, such as your longevity pay, and then our software cost program continue to rise. But I've been very impressed with the way you've run the meeting and how all of you are attentive and you've done your homework, and I thank you very much. It'll make the whole process just go better. But thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I do think the staff, these books, as I've done them before, are very hard to put together. And it really helps me in reviewing the budget to prior year's budget. So I can't say enough about bringing all this together. And I know how difficult it can be with so much paper that they're putting together. So Diane, Nina, Jamie, Amy, I really appreciate you. Thank you very much. Commissioner Herbert.
I'm just going to second that. They did such a great job with books this year. They're very organized. They're easy to read. I can't say the same thing about the school system's budget this year. Difficulties with it is much more difficult to go through because they've changed it around and there's a few things missing that used to be on there. So thank you, girls. Y'all did a great job.
Well, we can talk to Mrs. Farmer here in about an hour and a half and ask her for that information, Commissioner Herbert. Okay. All right. Seeing that we've concluded our business today, I will motion to adjourn and entertain a second. Thank you, Mayor.
Second.
And we are adjourned. It is a joint meeting with education. So we are adjourned until then.
Thank you.